Hey everyone, my name is Harrison DeBose, and I'll be the host for today's episode of Texas Tells. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about a commonplace insurance industry strategy known as swoop and settle. We'll hear from our executive director at Texas Watch, Ware Wendell, and he'll go into depth about what Texans need to know about not only swoop and settle, but also about House Bill 2374 by Dallas County Representative Julie Johnson, which is up for a vote this session. We'll also hear from Rayza Dominguez, a 19-year-old victim of the swoop and settle tactic. This is Texas Tells. So, what is swoop and settle? Let's imagine that you're at a stoplight. Your seatbelt is fastened, you're just waiting for the light to change. It's a sunny day, the traffic's not bad, and then all of a sudden, you get rear-ended by a driver going over 40 miles per hour because they are looking at their phone and not at the road. Okay, well that already sounds bad enough. But then imagine this. You feel pain. Your car is damaged. The other driver's insurance company sends out an adjuster the next morning. They look at your car, note your damages, and then they leave. Then, not even 2 days after the accident, their insurance company calls you and offers you a settlement. You agree to it because, hey, you need the money and you think it sounds good enough. Now, let's fast forward a few days. Your car has needed more repairs than you originally thought, and now you're in a lot of pain, more than before, and you need to go to a doctor. Well, you go to the doctor and they say, hey, you need an MRI, you need x-rays, and you also need to see some specialists. Okay, so now you need a little bit more money than the insurance company already gave you. So you call them and you say, the original amount wasn't enough. That sounds easy enough, right? Wrong. That's all you get. And that exact same situation happened to Rayza Dominguez. She's 19 years old and works in childcare. Here's her story.
I was actually working that day. I was on my break. I had just gone to the store with my sister. We were at the light right around the corner from my job. This lady, she was just on her phone and she just was going very fast. I believe she was going about 50 miles when she hit me from behind. I was stopped at a red light. Right as soon as that happened, the light turned green. So I got off my car and I was being very cautious. And I just told her, okay, well, now that I have the information, we can pull over to the side and we can talk and we can discuss what's going to happen next. The accident happened on January 21st, which was a Monday, and on January 23rd, which was a Wednesday, less than 2 days after the accident, I spoke to them, and she had offered me $1,000, I guess, to settle the claim. And I thought it was for the doctor's visits.
Here's an excerpt from that call.
This is a telephone release for your bodily injury claim. This release does not address any property damage you may have regarding this incident. We have reached a full and final agreement for all claims and demands in the amount of $1,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
In return for the $1,000, you have agreed to release any and all personal injury claims against our insured. Ms. Dominguez, do you represent that you are the person with the authority to enter into this release?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are voluntarily and forever releasing any and all of your injury claims arising out of this accident, whether known or unknown?
Yes.
Do you understand and agree that this verbal recorded release will be valid and enforceable as if you had signed a written release document?
Yes.
Is this acceptable to you?
Due to a court case, Gilbert v. Fitz, that agreement you made over the phone is enforceable by law. You have no legal recourse. You can't get any more money, and now you're stuck with the bill. And it wasn't your fault.
I was very overwhelmed, you could say, from there only being offered like such a low amount of money for the consults, for everything. And it was just very little. It was very, I want to say, I guess you could say disrespectful in a way, how they only offered that little amount, knowing that because they had received the pictures, they sent an adjuster to look at my vehicle the next morning after the accident. So they knew how bad the car looked, and I had told them that I wasn't feeling well, and they still only offered me that little amount. So I work from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and to get a day off, since there's very limited amount of teachers, I would have to find a doctor that was open after those hours, and there wasn't. So I would have to request days off, and that obviously was bad at work and bad for me because I was losing money, and it was just very, very inconvenient.
Now, Rayza's story is a hard one to hear. Maybe you can relate. Maybe this has happened to you or someone you know, or maybe you can just imagine how she feels. Betrayed, disrespected. That's why Dallas County Representative Julie Johnson has proposed House Bill 2374. Far too many Texans have been mistreated by their insurance companies, and they've had enough. So, what is House Bill 2374 exactly? Let's talk with our Executive Director, Ware Wendell, to find out more.
It would restore Texans' legal rights. It would protect them if an insurance company swoops in and wrongly settles their claim, underpays them on their claim. The way it does it is it's a very targeted approach. And so it says, if this has happened within 45 days of the wreck, and you didn't have an attorney at the time, so you didn't know what your rights were, you have up to 1 year to undo the release of your claims. If you say, yes, I'll take the $1,000 when the insurance company offers that over the phone to you, that acts as a release of your claims. That means that you're not going to pursue further legal action against the driver who was in the wrong, the driver who was at fault and who ran through the red light and hit you. If you later try to go back against them and say, wait a second, my bills are actually $10,000, they're not $1,000, the insurance company will go, we've got this recorded audio file of you saying, I will take $1,000 to satisfy my claims. And they'll tell you, you're done. Again, this law will allow you to restore your legal rights within a year. If this happened within 45 days of the wreck and you didn't have a lawyer at the time, so you didn't know your rights, you've got up to a year under this bill, if it passes and is signed into law, to restore the rest of your legal rights. They need to pay you what you're owed. That's the whole purpose of insurance. It's the whole purpose of our financial responsibility laws. We all have to have insurance to drive on our roads, and that's to protect the other person. And when the insurance company comes in and underpays these claims in a very strategic and predatory way, they're not protecting the other person. They're violating the law, in our opinion, and that's why this law will fix that.
Opponents of the bill say that it would create uncertainty a year out. But for people like Rayza Dominguez, this predatory oral agreement catches people who are stressed and strapped for cash.
My vehicle was fully repaired. Like I said, I still had to pay out of pocket. My injuries are still 100% there. I could still feel it even 2 months after. Since my job is standing up most of the day, I feel it most in the afternoons, like after I've had a long day. I have to carry these children, and these children are pretty heavy. So it just puts more pressure and more weight on me that I didn't have before the accident.
There are nearly 30 million people living in Texas today, and there are over 17 million licensed drivers in Texas. That means that there are millions of Texans out there who are, like Rayza, victims or potential prey to the swoop and settle tactic. Chances are, if you're listening to Texas Tells, you're a Texan and you're also a Texan who drives. Swoop and settle could happen to you. So what can you do? How can you make sure this doesn't keep happening to Texans every day? Let your lawmakers know you won't tolerate this shady scheme anymore, and tell them to support House Bill 2374.
If the bill is not signed into law, Texans will continue to be at risk of being preyed upon if they've been hurt through no fault of their own. Insurance companies will continue to be emboldened to engage in this activity, given that there's this court case out there that allows them to use these what are called oral releases. They can call you on the phone. If you say, yes, I'll take the money, that's the end of the road for you legally. Raise your voice. Tell them to look out for you and for your family, not for the insurance companies. And please support House Bill 2374.
Thanks for listening to Texas Tells with your host, Harrison DeBose. If you want to find out more about Texas Watch or the projects that we're working on, go to www.texaswatch.org. Thanks.